bit by bit, row by row, talking about my father from May 3rd, 2020. I say to myself, Pop, how can I talk about you? I like thinking about my father, but it's like this. I think of one person, then immediately so many other people, and this date, May 3rd, and May Day, and then all the songs and the other people's songs, and in a wink there's too much to keep track of. I find a paper and a pencil, and then the words come faster than I can write. Once again, I stop, I get up, I take an early morning walk, or find a shovel to finish turning the soil over for a spring garden, picking weeds, saying to myself, eventually the right words will come, a few at a time, if I think about it just a little each day. How did he do what he did? There were the songs he wrote, the singing he did, singing to people and with people and teaching. He was always thinking about how to teach, singing in order to teach, hoping there would be many other people singing, and that together we would be turning the world over to plant seeds, to see a new day, a new world soon to be. He was hopeful. Or he wanted to be hopeful because he felt that there was no choice for him but to be hoping, coping, believing, working on this project he was taking on every single working day. Why was he like that? Well, his parents were both teachers. They raised him by example. They taught him to teach. He was not the best teacher in the traditional sense, as he did not break things down into specific parts to study. Rather, teaching for him meant having a good example, trying over and over, showing you how, or why, or what, doing it again, expecting you to listen, expecting you to understand, cajoling you to try, making it easier to try, having you watch or listen one more time, making it fun, providing the necessary tools, learning to plan, joining together, smiling wryly, occasionally smiling broadly, being with family, being there. The right place, the right words, not too many words, especially the right time. What was he doing? Do I need to say what he did? Around 1981, somebody asked me how things were going, and I said, well, it's wild and busy at the house, and my father's depressed. Why? She said. Because he's almost 60 and the world's still a mess, I said. She said, why would he think that he would be able to accomplish so much? Really? Fixing the world? I was surprised. It was a critical reaction, as if being depressed because he failed to save the world. Then he was egotistical. I was taken aback because I thought everyone went through life aimed at this very tall order. I think deep inside, we all do feel compelled. He had an especially strong sense of purpose, though, and I guess that is what brought him through the hard times. He taught by thinking the best in people, ignoring the worst, and expecting others, at the very least, to believe they were capable. He was often quiet in speech, and instead of speaking or lecturing, he sang, not necessarily to his family, though he did sing to us as children, but in concerts, on albums, at rallies. He wrote hundreds of songs and knew thousands more. He had a song for every purpose, or if not, he wrote a new one. That's how he did it. Most of you know what he did. Who did he do it for? All of us, of course. The people working on saving the planet, the children, the old people, workers everywhere. He existed to help other people help. He worked for everyone who was trying and those who could not. He worked till the end, loving this planet so much. He was sad to leave it in such a troubled state to us, wishing he could have done more. Of course, it was not that he was sad that he could not have done more, as I said in 1981. He was sad because here we all are, with so much more to do. He was sorry to leave this mess behind. He was a tidy person, and it would take a lot of people to organize and figure out how to work on this next project. He wanted to help people do this kind of work his whole life.
None of us exist all by ourselves. We're part of a long chain, and sometimes I think the important thing is not to try and be the longest link in the chain, but simply a good, strong link, so we can keep the chain together for future generations.
Thanks a lot, Pete Seeger.
To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time for every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to reap. A time to kill, a time to heal, a time to laugh,
a time to be. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time for every purpose under heaven. A time to build up, a time to break down, a time to dance, a time to mourn, a time to cast away stones, a time to gather stones together. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time for every purpose under heaven. A time of love, a time of hate, a time of war, a time of peace, a time you may embrace, a time to refrain from embracing. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time for every purpose under heaven. A time to gain, a time to lose, a time to rend, a time to sow, a time of love, a time of hate, a time for peace. I swear it's not too late. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time for every purpose under heaven. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time for every purpose under heaven.
Welcome again, everybody. Tonight is such a special night. This is Pete's neighborhood, and I know many of you have Pete stories, but this is mine. In 1973, Bill and I moved up to the Hudson Valley, and at Pete's suggestion, we moved next door to his older daughter, Mika. And we were very close with the family, and with Pete and Toshi, of course, and we did many projects together. But in 1995, I got a card from Pete, and it said, "Dear Livia, I would like to play for your dancers. Let's do something in the spring. Phone, Pete." But in the corner of the card, there was the word "over" in someone else's handwriting. And when I turned the card over, it said, "Dear Livia, it's very dangerous to have Pete play for your dancers because he never plays the same thing twice. Love, Toshi." Well, that next spring in 1996, we did that concert right here on the stage of the Bardavon Opera House with Pete. And we called it Turn, Turn, Turn. Tonight, we offer you this offering of Pete's music with dance and some very special guests. And please, sing along, feel free to sing along on anything you wish. Pete's music is meant to be an inspiration for the next generations to come. Enjoy. Well, how did Pete begin? In 1920, his father Charles, a musicologist, and his mother Constance, a classical violinist, hooked up their homemade trailer to the family's Model T Ford. They were going to take their children with them and tour the South, bringing classical music to the people.
But the roads were so muddy that they got stuck in North Carolina, and they spent the whole winter camped out in a farmer's field. The farmers were attentive and polite. And then they took down their own banjos and fiddles.
Would you like to hear some of our music, sir?
Pete was a boy, an infant really, but that music got into his blood and bones and never left him. That's when Pete's father, Charles, realized we were bringing our highfalutin city music to the country people, but look what they gave us, all of their wonderful music. Well, when Pete was a teenager, his father took him down again to North Carolina, but this time to a folk festival. And that's when he heard the 5-string banjo for the first time. Well, eventually Pete became known for his long neck banjo. You know, the one that says, "This machine surrounds hate and forces it to surrender." Well, in 1938, Pete was studying at Harvard. He was studying journalism, and he was fixing to become a newspaper reporter.
Oh, newspapermen be such interesting people. They know the lowdown, now it can be told. I'll tell you quite correctly off the record about some charming people I have known. For I meet politicians, grafters by the score, killers plain and fancy, it's really quite a bore. Oh, newspapermen meet such interesting people. They wallow in corruption, crime, and gore. Ting-a-ling-a-ling, city desk, hold the press, extra, extra, read all about it. It's a mess, beats the test. Oh, newspapermen meet such interesting people. Let's give 3 cheers for freedom of the press.
Now make a warm welcome for Happy Traum.
All right. Well, right around this time, the folklorist Alan Lomax, said to Pete, why don't you give up this newspaper business and come down to D.C. with me? So Pete picked up his banjo, headed down to the Library of Congress, where he worked with Alan Lomax, and recorded and learned hundreds of great folk songs. When John Henry was a little baby, sitting on his daddy's knee, well, he picked up a hammer and a little piece of steel, said, hammer be the death of me, Lord, Lord, hammer be the death of me. He said, hammer be the death of me, Lord, Lord, hammer be the death of me. Well, John sing. Well, he went up in the mountain early in the morning. You could hear John Henry's hammer ring, Lord, Lord. Hear John Henry's hammer ring. You could hear John Henry's hammer ring, Lord, Lord. Hear John Henry's hammer ring. Well, the captain said to John Henry, gonna bring me a steam drill around. I'm gonna bring that steam drill out on the job. Whop that steel on down, Lord, Lord. Gonna whop that steel on down. Gonna whop that steel on down, Lord, Lord. Whop that steel on down. Well, John Henry said to his captain, what a man ain't nothing but a man. And before I let that old steam drill beat me down, gonna die with a hammer in my hand, Lord, Lord. Die with a hammer in my hand. Die with a hammer in my hand, Lord, Lord. Die with a hammer in my hand. Well, the man who invented the steam drill, he thought he was mighty fine. John Henry drilled 15 feet of steel, while the steel drill only drilled 9, Lord, Lord. Steam drill only drilled 9. Steam drill only drilled 9, Lord, Lord. Steam drill only drilled 9. John Henry hammered on the mountain, and his hammer was making fire. Well, he hammered so hard, he broke his poor heart, and he laid down his hammer, and he died, Lord, Lord. Laid down his hammer, and he died. Yes, he laid down his hammer, and he died, Lord, Lord. Laid down his hammer and he died. Now John Henry had a little woman. Her name was Polly Ann. When John Henry laid down his hammer and he died, Polly Ann drove steel like a man, Lord, Lord. Polly Ann drove steel like a man. Yes, Polly Ann drove steel like a man, Lord, Lord. Polly Ann drove steel like a man. Now they took John Henry to the graveyard, and they buried him down in the sand. Every locomotive come a-rolling by, said there lies a steel driving man. There lies a steel driving man. And every Sunday morning, when the bluebirds begin to sing, you can hear John Henry on the mountain top. You can hear John Henry's hammer ring, Lord, Lord. Hear John Henry's hammer ring. Hear John Henry's hammer ring, Lord, Lord. Hear John Henry's hammer ring. Well, when Pete started playing the 12-string guitar, he learned just about everything he knew at the beginning from the great Hudie Ledbetter, better known as Leadbelly, king of the 12-string guitars. Well, and by the way, please sing the chorus with us. Well, you wake up in the morning, hear the big bell ring, go marching to the table. You see the same damn thing, it's all on the table. Knife and fork in a pan, say anything about it. You got trouble with the man, let the midnight special shine a light on me. Let the midnight special shine its ever-loving light on. Well, if you ever go to Houston, well, you better walk right. Better not stagger, and you better not fight. Sheriff Benson will arrest you, and they carry you down. You can bet your bottom dollar you're penitentiary bound. Let the midnight special shine a light on me. Let the midnight special shine its ever-loving light on. Well, yonder come Miss Rosie. How in the world do you know? I know her by April, by the dress she wore, umbrella on her shoulder, piece of paper in her hand. She's gonna tell the governor, you better free my man. Let the midnight special shine light on me. Let the midnight special shine its ever-loving light on me. I'm gonna play one here. Gonna wait to leave you, and my time ain't long. This chariot's coming, gonna carry me home. I'll be done all my grieving, whooping, hollering, crying. I'll be done all my studying about the great long time. I let the midnight special, come on, shine a light on me, yeah. Let the midnight special shine its ever-loving light on. Sing it again, midnight special shine a light on me. Let the midnight special shine its ever-loving light on me.
Well, Leadbelly told Pete about the prison farms where he'd been, and about the honky-tonks where he had played in Louisiana.
Follow me down, follow me down, follow me down to Mr. Tom Hughes' town. Ho, 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 ho.
to my mama, said, Mama, don't you know, if those women in Shreveport gonna kill me, Mama, you better let me go. Ho, 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 ho. Ho, ho. I went to my mama, fell down on my knees, said, oh mercy, Mama, won't you forgive me, please? Ho, 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 ho. Ho, ho.
Well, Pete and Alan Lomax drove up from D.C. to New York City to see a concert featuring Leadbelly and some other great performers. There was this short, curly-headed guy from Oklahoma who had the whole audience singing and laughing. That was Woody Guthrie. And Woody became one of Pete's biggest influences. They went around the country hitching around and singing for union halls and workers' rights and labor organizations and traveling the rails like hobos. Well, Woody said,
Way out yonder on the mountain road, I had a hot motor and a heavy load. I was going pretty fast, I wasn't even stopping, bouncing up and down like popcorn popping. Had a breakdown of some kind, sort of a nervous bust down. There was a fella there, a mechanic fella, said it was engine trouble. Well, way up yonder on the mountain road, it was way up yonder in the piney wood. I gave that rolling forward a shove. I was going to coast fast as I could. Commenced to coasting, picking up speed. There was a hairpin turn. I didn't make it. Man alive, I'm telling you, the fiddles and the guitars really flew. The Ford took off like a flying squirrel and flew halfway around the world.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on, boys? Which side are you on?
There once was a Union maid who never was afraid of goons and ginks and company finks, and the deputy sheriff who made the raid went to the Union Hall. A meeting it was called, and when the company boys came home, she always stood around. Oh, you can't stand me, I'm sticking to the Union. I'm sticking to the Union. I'm sticking to the Union. Oh, you can't scare me, I'm sticking to the Union. I'm sticking to the Union till the day I die. Well, this Union maid was wise to the ways of the company's spies. She couldn't be fooled by the company's stew. She'd always organize the guys. She always got her way, and she struck for better pay. She showed her card to the National Guard, and this is what she'd say. Oh, you can't scare me, I'm sticking to the Union. I'm sticking to the Union. I'm sticking to the Union. Oh, you can't scare me, I'm sticking to the Union. I'm sticking to the Union till the day I die. You women who want to be free, just take a tip from me. Break out of that mold you've all been sold. You've got a mighty history to fight for women's rights. With workers we'll unite. Like Mother Joan, just move them both to the front of every fight. Oh, you can't scare me, I'm sticking to the Union. I'm sticking to the Union. I'm sticking to the Union. Oh, you can't scare me, I'm sticking to the Union. I'm sticking to the Union till the day I die.
Maria Muldaur.
Now, Pete, Woody Guthrie, Alan Lomax, and a Union man named Lee Hayes put together a group and called it the Almanacs, because the only two books any farmer might ever see was his almanac to get him through this life and his Bible to get him to the next. Pete used songs to get at real issues, like immigration. He said he was singing for a union organization down in Pittsburgh when he was given this song written by a foreman in the steel mill. This story about coming to America begins in Slovakia.
Hej Bože môj, čo tej Ameriky. Iste donieš národ preveliký. I ja pojdem však, som mladý ešte. Dá mi Pán Boh tam dajaké šťastie. Oh my God, what is this land of America? So many people traveling there. I will go too, for I am still young. God the Lord will grant me good luck there. You, my wife, stay here till you hear from me. When you get my letter, put everything in order. Mount a raven black steed, a horse like the wind. Fly across the ocean to join me here.
Ichkana sivovom
Ah, but when she arrived in this strange land, here in McKeesport, this valley of fire, only his grave, his blood did she find. Over it bitterly she cried.
Červená ružička na sivovom prúd.
Ah, my husband, what have you done to this family of yours? What can you say to these children you've orphaned? Tell them my wife not to wait for me. Tell them I lie here in the American land.
Žiaden človek nevie o mojom zármutku. Žiaden človek nevie o mojom zármutku. Please make welcome Tom Chapin and Maria Muldaur.
Yo. Let's go back to 1942 when Pete Seeger was playing banjo at a square dance in Greenwich Village. And he met a nice young lady named Toshi Ota.
Well, the next thing you know, Pete's walking Toshi home. And the next thing that happened after that... Oh, kisses sweeter than wine. Oh, kisses sweeter than wine.
When I was a young man, I'd never been kissed. I got to thinking it over what I had missed. Got me a girl, kissed her, and then, oh Lord, I kissed her again. Oh, kisses sweeter than wine. Help us out, good and strong. Oh, kisses sweeter than wine.
He asked me to marry and be his sweet wife, and we'd be so happy the rest of our life. He begged and he pleaded like a natural man, and then, oh Lord, well, I gave him my hand. Oh, kisses sweeter than wine. Oh, kisses sweeter than wine.
Well, we worked very hard, both me and my wife, working hand in hand to make a good life. Corn in the field and wheat in the bin. I was, oh Lord, the father of twins. Oh, kisses sweeter than wine. You say it.
Oh, kisses sweeter than wine. Our children numbered just about 4. They all had sweethearts a knocking at the door. They all got married and they didn't hesitate. I was, oh Lord, the grandmother of 8. Oh,
kisses sweeter than wine. Oh, kisses sweeter than wine. Now we're old and ready to go. We get to thinking what happened a long time ago. Had a lot of kids, a lot of trouble and pain, but oh Lord, we do it again. Oh, kisses sweeter than wine. Last chance. Oh, kisses sweeter than wine. One more time. Oh, kisses sweeter than wine.
Well, it was World War II, and Pete joined the army. He was stationed in Saipan near Guam. Toshi said she would wait for him, and they got married during a week's furlough. Even when Pete had a day off, he would go out in Southeast Asia and film villages dancing and singing. You know, when the war ended, they came back to this area, as you know, and they built a log cabin in Beacon, New York, overlooking the Hudson River. They built their marriages around good music and good causes. Pete always said,
Toshi was the brains of the outfit, steered the ship, kept us off the rocks. No way I'd have accomplished anything without her.
Toshi always told her friends she wished Pete would chase after women rather than good causes, because then she'd have a good, decent reason to leave him.
Pete, Woody Guthrie, Alan Lomax, and Lee Hayes all got together and created People's Songs, an organization and publication dedicated to songs of labor and the American people. Now, People's Songs was going strong, but they were just about out of funds, so they put on a hootenanny to raise some cash.
Our fathers bled at Valley Forge. The snow was red with blood, our faith was warm. At Valley Forge, our faith was brotherhood. Wasn't that a time?
Wasn't that a time?
Wasn't that a time? A time to try the soul of man. Wasn't that a terrible time?
Well, in 1948, Pete formed a quartet with Lee Hayes, Freddie Hellerman, and Ronnie Gilbert. And they called themselves the Weavers, and they sang songs from all over the world. They were the greatest American singing group, with hits like Lead Belly's Midnight Special and Goodnight Irene, and of course, Tsena Tsena. Tsena 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 Havanutturena Hayalim Bamboshava Ana 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 Tarena Tulet Hayan Zava Tsena 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 Tsena. Yay, good. You know, when we did that first concert with Pete, he taught us that the name of this next song is really Mbube. Mbube. It was written by Solomon Linda in South Africa. People thought it was public domain. They recorded it as Wimaway. You might know this. In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. But lions don't live in the jungle, nor do they sleep at night. Be that as it may, when Pete found out that Solomon and Linda wrote that song, he made sure that at least some of the royalties went to them and to Solomon and Linda's family as well. Mbube, sing along with the Beacon High School chorus.
Mbube, 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 Mbube.
Pete's name came up in testimony before HUAC, the House Un-American Activities Committee.
My life flows on in endless song above earth's lamentation. I hear the real, though far off hymn that hails on new creation. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing?
I'm not going to answer any questions regarding my associations, my religious beliefs, or my political beliefs.
Did you sing a song called Wasn't That a Time for the Communist Party in June of 1947?
I can sing it for you. I don't know how well I can do it without my banjo, but I'm not interested in carrying on any line of questioning about where I have sung it.
What though the tempest round me roars, I know the truth is there. What though the darkness around me glows, songs in the night it giveth. No storm
love my country very dearly.
Say it again.
And I resent the implication that some of the places that I have sung and some of the people that I have known
Make me any less an American.
Peter Seeger, the committee charges you with 10 counts of contempt of Congress and a sentence of no less than 1 year's imprisonment. Surrender your passport to the Sergeant at Arms. You are not permitted to leave the Southern District of New York State until further notice.
And once again, the madmen come. And should our victory fail, there is no victory in a land where free men go to jail. Isn't this a time?
Isn't this a time?
Isn't this a time? A time to try the soul of man. Isn't this a terrible time? Isn't this a time?
Isn't this a time?
Isn't this a time?
A time to try the soul of man. Isn't this a terrible time?
Okay.
I was 12 years old when we heard a record called The Weavers at Carnegie Hall. And we listened all summer long to that recording. That recording opens with Pete Seeger doing something like this. And the crowd goes. It's Darlene Corey. Wake up, wake up. And from then on, we were just hooked. And we listened all summer long. End of the summer, Harry says, we could do that. He was 14, I was 12, Steve was 11. Steve and I were choir boys, so we could sing in harmony. So Harry became the melody. And he had two brothers who could sing in harmony. And he got a 5-string banjo and got the Pete Seeger book. I got a guitar and finger picks because Harry was so damn loud on the banjo. And we started, and Steve got a 10-string ukulele called a teepli, and we started playing as the Chapin Brothers. That was 62 years ago. But really, you know, it's not unique because the Kingston Trio, Peter, Paul, and Mary, the Limelighters, the Journeymen, Tom Paxton, on and on and on and on and on. Pete left this legacy, not only how to be a folk singer, and leaving all these songs and all these different songs from all over the world, but also a member of the best folk group there ever was, the Weavers. Ronnie Gilbert, Lee Hayes, Fred Hellerman, and Pete Seeger. And they were so good they had to be blacklisted because they were dangerous. And Pete's the same way, and what an astonishing musician. We think of him now as because the cleaner up of the Hudson River and the HUAC stuff and all the stuff, amazing life, but he was an astonishing musician. So I'm telling this story about my brothers and me, how we got into this music, you know, from a family that my mother loved opera and my dad was a jazz drummer, and we end up playing these things. And I was telling this to my friend Cy Khan. He said, well, let's write that song. I did not learn this music at my grandma's knee, but from some old musicians I never got to see. And I know them by their records, their voices, and their songs. I'm blessed, blessed to be with you tonight, to pass the music on. For the good times and the high times, through the suffering and pain, it's the song of generations singing in my veins. I still hear that old-time music of good friends now long gone. I am here tonight to pass the music on. Well, you know I'm not traditional and I've never claimed to be, but I come from a tradition that others made for me. They're still alive inside my heart, although they're now long gone. I like to think they trusted me to pass the music on, for the good times and the high times, through the suffering and pain. For the good times and the high times, through the suffering and pain. It's the song of generations singing in my veins. It's the song of generations singing in my veins. I still hear that old-time music. I still hear that old-time music of good friends now long gone. I am here tonight to pass the music on. And most of the songs we've got tonight, I must admit, well, some of the songs, this is the song we've got tonight, I must admit I wrote. All the others I've learned heart to heart instead of note by note. And now as I grow older and new folk come along, I'll help you out the best I can to pass the music on. Oh, clap your hands. I've sung these songs with some old friends I never will forget. And I've sung them with an audience of folks I've hardly met. But here we are together to celebrate the song. We'll sing and play our part tonight and pass the music on. For the good times and the high times, for the good times and the suffering and pain, through the suffering and it's a song of generations. It's the song of generations singing in my veins. I still hear that old-time music of good friends now long gone. I am here tonight to pass the music, last chance for the good times and the high times, through the suffering. It's the song of generations singing in my veins. I still hear that old-time music of good friends now long gone. I am here tonight to pass the music on. I am here tonight to pass the music on. We are here tonight with the Vanaver Caravan and Happy and Maria and everybody else to pass the music, and most especially you guys. Pass the music on. Let's pass this music on. Are we ready?
Yeah. As I went walking that ribbon of highway, I saw above me that endless skyway. I saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island.
Pete Seeger sing of this song was this one. New York is your home. New York is my home. From the upstate mountains down to the ocean foam. We're all together now. Yes, we're polychrome. This thing was made to be frack free. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island. From the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream water. This land was made for you and me.
Nobody living can never stop me as I go walking my freedom highway. Nobody living can make me turn back. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forests to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. This land was made. This land was made for you and me. Yes, you are.
Pete appealed the HUAC ruling, and when he finally got his passport back, he was able to take his family around the world filming local dancers and musicians along the way. But back in America, Pete would be blacklisted for 7 years from TV, radio, and theaters, all the places where he used to perform. But that didn't stop Pete.
He took his music elsewhere.
Directly to the people. When communities join together in song, they can effect real change.
Will you welcome the Southern Dutchess Coalition Choir? And I want to say how fortunate we are to have this particular choir, because it's the choir that Pete would sing with Martin Luther King Day. That was
the Southern Dutchess Coalition Chorus. The Southern Dutchess Coalition Chorus. Woo!
We're gone.
Here's the great irony of the blacklist. Since many of the performers have been banned from TV and radio, they took their music to schools, campuses, summer camps, because that's who would have them. The children and the young people they performed for fell in love with the old songs and the old ways of singing.
Then, in the 60s, it was us campers who had grown into our 20s who brought folk music into the mainstream, thanks to people like Pete.
And then came the Vietnam War, and many of us folkies familiar with the traditional folk music, thanks to pioneers like Pete, we're now writing truly memorable songs of protest and social justice like never before.
It was back in 1942, I was a member of a good platoon. We're on maneuvers in Louisiana one night by the light of the moon. The captain told us to ford a river, that's how it all begun. We were knee deep in the big muddy, and the big fool said to push on. Well, the sergeant said, "Sir, are you sure this is the best way back to the base?" "Sergeant, go on, I forded this river about a mile above this place. It'll be a little soggy, but just keep slugging, we'll soon be on dry ground." We were waist deep in the big muddy, and the big fool said to push on. Well, the sergeant said, "Sir, with all this equipment, no man will be able to swim." "Sergeant, don't be a nervous Nelly," the captain said to him. "All we need is a little determination. Then follow me, I'll lead on." We were neck deep in the big muddy when the big fool said to push on. All at once the moon clouded over, we heard a gurgling cry. A few seconds later the captain's helmet was all that floated by. The sergeant said, "Turn around, men, I'm in charge from now on." And we just made it out of the big muddy with the captain dead and gone. Well, we stripped and dived and found his body stuck in the open sand. I guess he didn't know that the water was deeper than the place he'd once before been. Another stream had joined the big muddy about a half-mile from where he'd gone. We were lucky to escape from the big muddy when the big fool said to push on. Well, I'm not going to point anymore, I'll leave that for yourself. Maybe you're still walking, you're still talking, you'd like to keep your health. But every time I read the paper, that old feeling comes on. We're waist deep in the big muddy, and the big fool says to push on. Yes, we're waist deep in the big muddy, and the big fool says to push on. Waist deep in the big muddy, the big fool says to push on. Waist deep, neck deep, so no tall man will be over his head. Waist deep in the big muddy, and the big fool says to push on.
soldiers gone, gone to graveyards, everyone. When will they ever learn? Oh, when will they ever learn? Where have all the graveyards gone? Long time passing. Where have all the graveyards gone? Long time ago. Where have all the graveyards gone? Gone with flowers, everyone. When will they ever learn? Oh, when will they ever learn? Where have all the flowers gone? Long time passing. Where have all the flowers gone? Long time ago. Where have all the flowers gone? Young girls that pick them, everyone. When will they ever learn? Oh, when will they ever
Pete was singing in a summer camp when the kids came up to him and said, "You have to hear this song that our counselor just taught us." And it was this counselor, Victor Angelo, who had sung into a tape recorder, and it was quite lovely. He had taken the words from Jose Marti, famous Cuban literary hero, and he'd put it to the melody of a song that everyone in Cuba knows. And we hope you sing along, too.
Guantanamera, Guajira Guantanamera, Guantanamera, Guajira Guantanamera.
Everybody!
Guajira Guantanamera, de donde crecen las palmas. Yo soy un hombre sincero, de donde crecen las palmas. Que antes de morir me quiero, mis versos del alma.
Guantanamera, Guajira Guantanamera, Guantanamera, Guajira Guantanamera.
Mi verso este un verde claro y de un carmín encendido. Mi verso este un verde claro y de un carmín encendido. Mi verso es un cielo herido que buscan alma de amparo.
Guantanamera, Guajira Guantanamera, Guantanamera, Guajira Guantanamera.
The words say, I am a truthful man from the land of palm trees, and before dying, I want to share these poems of my soul. My poems are soft green, they're also flaming crimson. My poems are like a wounded fawn seeking refuge in the forest.
The last verse says, "Con los pobres de la tierra." With the poor people of this earth, I want to share my fate. This
streams of the mountains please me more than the sea.
Con los pobres de la tierra, quiero yo mi suerte echar. Con los pobres de la tierra, quiero yo mi suerte echar. El arroyo de la sierra me conoce más que el mar. Síguela. Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera, Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera, Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera, Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera. In the 1970s, the Hudson River was essentially a trash heap, and no one from up on high was doing anything about cleaning it up. So Pete had this wild idea to build a replica of an 18th century sloop and sail it up and down the Hudson River, stopping at towns and cities along the way. Pete said, "The waterfront is public property. We'll have a party. We'll invite everybody, and I mean everybody, young and old, rich and poor, black and white, hip and square. We'll have exhibits, displays, and of course, music. People who won't listen to speeches can learn a great many things through music. Put simply, we'll teach them to love the river again, to clean it, not out of duty or out of guilt, but out of love. Everything in this world is tied together. We clean up our Hudson River, and then we clean up the shore around it, and then we turn to the work of cleaning up our whole society." Sailing down my golden river, sun and water all my own. Yet I was never alone. Sun and water, old life givers, I'll have them where'er I roam. And I was not far from home. Sunlight glancing on the water, life and death are all my own. Yet I was never alone. Life to raise my sons and daughters, golden sparkles in the foam. And I was not far from home. Sailing down my golden river, sighting all the distant stars. Yet I was never Today, Pete and Toshi's grandchildren are swimming in the Hudson River because change is possible.
to my old brown earth and to my old blue sky. I'll now give these last few molecules of I. And you who sing and you who stand nearby, I do charge you not to cry. Guard well our human chain, mark well you keep it strong, as long as sun will shine. And this our home keep pure and sweet and green, for now I'm yours and you are also mine.
You know, the agricultural revolution took thousands of years. The Industrial Revolution took hundreds of years. Now, the information revolution is only taking decades. But if we use the brains God gave us, we will have the revolution that must come if there is going to be a human race here next century. I call it the nonviolent revolution. Some may call it the love revolution, or the willingness to communicate revolution. Who knows? If we learn to grow not in size, but grow in generosity, or grow in a sense of humor, or grow in the ability to talk with people we disagree with, we will still have great-grandchildren here by the time the 22nd century comes along.
If I had a hammer, I'd hammer in the morning, I'd hammer in the evening, all over this land. I'd hammer at danger, I'd hammer at a warning, I'd hammer out love between your brothers and your sisters, all over this land. If I had a bell, I'd ring it in the morning, I'd ring it in the evening, all over this land. I'd bring out danger, I'd bring out a warning, I'd bring out love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. If I had a song, I'd sing it in the morning, I'd sing it in the evening, all over this land. I'd sing out danger, I'd sing out warning, I'd sing out love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land.
Thank you to Maria Muldaur, Happy Traum, Tom Chapin, Kairos, Beacon High School Chorus, Southern Dutchess Coalition, Caravan Kids, Vanaver Caravan Dancers and musicians, Evan, Toby, Mark, and Linda, and Bill. I'd sing a danger, I'd sing a warning, I'd sing a love between my brothers and my sisters all over this land. Thank you. Emily Vanston, Ray Davis, Harlan Giudicelli, Elijah Vanaver, Bardavon Opera House, Samantha Lawton, Brian Lawton, and our beautiful audience, beautiful community, all of you.
To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time for every purpose under heaven.
A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to reap, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to laugh, a time to be. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time for every purpose under heaven. A time to build up, a time to break down, a time to dance, a time to mourn, a time to cast away stones, a time to gather stones together. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time for every purpose under heaven. A time of love, a time of hate, a time of war, a time of peace, a time you may embrace, a time to refrain from embracing. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time for every purpose under heaven. A time to gain, a time to lose, a time to rend, a time to sow, a time of love, a time of hate, a time for peace. I swear it's not too late.
and my sisters, all over this land.
If I had a bell, I'd ring it in the morning, I'd ring it in the evening, all over this land. I'd bring out danger, I'd bring out a warning, I'd bring out love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. If I had a song, I'd sing it in the morning, I'd sing it in the evening, all over this land. I'd sing out danger, I'd sing out warning, I'd sing out love between my brothers and my sisters,